Welcome to Nightwhisper. Nightwhisper brings you the darkest tales from the shadows. Join our community. Subscribe, leave a like, and prepare yourself for stories that will haunt your dreams. I relocated to Port Augustine, Florida in June of 2024, and for 6 months, it was the most perfect place I had ever lived. It sat on a thin strip of coastline where the Gulf met the bay. Crystal water on either side. Pastel-painted Victorian houses, ancient oaks dropping moss. Everyone knew everyone. The kind of place you leave your doors unlocked and you borrow sugar from neighbors. I worked as a software consultant remotely. Port Augustine had fiber optic internet and cheap rent. Perfect combination. I rented the second floor of a yellow house on Secession Street. I thought it was just a quirky historical name. The landlady, Miss Eleanor, was 87 years old and as sharp as a knife. She brought me key lime pie every Sunday. "You settling in all right, Daniel?" she asked one afternoon late in December. "It's Danny," I said. "And yeah, this place is out of this world. I just can't believe more people haven't heard of it." Miss Eleanor's smile tightened just a fraction. "Well, we like to keep it quiet. It would be ruined by tourism, right? Like that?" She was gone before I could ask what she meant. The holidays came. Christmas decorations went up all over town. White lights in the live oaks, wreaths on every door. The whole town sparkled at night. I made friends quickly. There was Marcus, who owned the coffee shop on Main Street. Sarah, who ran the bookstore. Tom and Jennifer, a retired couple who walked their golden retriever past my house every morning. We had a standing trivia night at Marcus's place every Wednesday. Life was good. Port Augustine had about 3,000 permanent residents. Everyone seemed content, happy. Nobody talked about leaving. Nobody complained about anything. It was unusual, but I chalked it up to small-town life. "How long have you lived here?" I asked Marcus one night over coffee. "My whole life," he said. "Born and raised." "You never wanted to leave? See the world?" Something flickered behind his eyes. "I tried once, when I was 19. Got as far as Tallahassee before I came back. Homesick? Something like that." The same answer Miss Eleanor had given me. Something like that. I was starting to notice how often people in Port Augustine used that phrase. In early January, the town started preparing for something they called Heritage Night. Banners went up. Port Augustine Heritage Celebration, January 10th. The date was everywhere. Posters in shop windows, flyers on telephone poles. Everyone was talking about it. "It's our most important tradition," Sarah told me at the bookstore. "Commemorates the founding of the town." "On January 10th? 1861, she said. Her smile was bright. Too bright. The night Port Augustine was born. I went home and Googled it. January 10th, 1861. That was the date Florida seceded from the Union, right before the Civil War. Port Augustine must have been founded the same day. Made sense for a coastal town. Commerce, shipping, all that. But when I tried to find more information about the town's history, I came up empty. No Wikipedia page, no Historical Society website. Just a brief mention in one obscure Florida history book that called Port Augustine a peculiar footnote and nothing more. Peculiar footnote. I didn't like that phrase. January 9th arrived, the day before Heritage Night. The whole town was buzzing with preparation. People hanging bunting from their porches, setting up tables in the town square. Marcus closed the coffee shop early to help with decorations. Everyone was involved. Except me. Nobody had asked me to help. Nobody had invited me to volunteer. When I offered, people smiled and said, "That's kind, but we've got it covered." I was the outsider, the newcomer. Even after 6 months, I wasn't part of Heritage Night. Not really. That evening, I walked through town as the sun set. The decorations were beautiful. 19th century style lanterns, period bunting in red, white, and blue. American flags from 1861, back when there were only 33 stars. Someone had really done their research. Miss Eleanor was on her porch when I passed her house. "Danny," she called out, "come up here a minute." I climbed the steps. She had a glass of sweet tea waiting, like she always did. "I need to tell you something," she said. Her voice was serious. "About tomorrow night." "Heritage Night?" "Yes." She looked at the street, the flags, the lanterns. "Stay inside tomorrow. Lock your doors. Don't look outside. Don't answer if anyone knocks. Don't come out until the sun rises on January 11th. My stomach went cold. "What? Why?" "Just trust me. Stay inside." "Miss Eleanor, what happens tomorrow night?" She looked at me with eyes that had seen too much. Port Augustine was founded on January 10th, 1861. But that's not the whole story. The town was born that night, yes, but it also died that night. And every year on the anniversary, we have to live it again. "I don't understand." "You will." She stood up. "Go home now. Prepare. When you wake up tomorrow morning, it'll be January 10th. And when you wake up the morning after, it'll be January 10th again. And it will keep being January 10th until the sun rises naturally on the 11th, until we've all lived through it together one more time. That's not possible. Neither is a town that never ages," she said softly. "Neither is a place where nobody leaves. Neither is 3,000 people living the exact same night over and over for 164 years. I backed away. "You're not serious." "Go home, Danny. You'll see for yourself soon enough." I went home. I didn't sleep much that night. I woke up on January 10th to church bells. My phone said 6 o'clock in the morning. The sun was just rising, orange light through my window. Port Augustine looked beautiful in the dawn, perfect, peaceful. I made coffee, checked my email, tried to shake off the weird conversation with Miss Eleanor. She was old, maybe confused. Maybe the Heritage Night celebrations had some strange traditions, but a time loop? That was insane. My phone buzzed. Text from Marcus. "Coffee shop's closed today. Heritage Prep. See you tonight at the celebration." I texted back, "What time does it start?" No response. I spent the morning in my apartment, working, trying to focus. But I kept thinking about Miss Eleanor's words, "It'll be January 10th again." At noon, I looked outside. The town was active. People walking around in period clothing, 19th century dresses, Confederate uniforms, Union uniforms, everyone in costume. The celebration had started early. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I heard the cannon. I went to my window. In the town square, someone had set up a small Civil War-era cannon. They were firing blanks. The sound echoed across the water. People cheered. Music played. A brass band in period clothing. It looked like a historical reenactment. But the faces in the crowd, they weren't smiling. They were tense, scared, going through the motions. At 6 o'clock, the sun began to set. At 6:30, something changed. The light got weird. Orange and gold, but also somehow wrong. Like looking through old glass, the sounds from the town square got distant, muffled. My ears popped like I was on an airplane. And then the church bells rang. Not the gentle morning bells. These were frantic, urgent, warning bells. I looked outside. The sky was the wrong color, deep red, almost purple. The sun was setting but too fast, like someone was speeding up time. And then it stopped. The sun froze half below the horizon. The sky locked in perpetual sunset. 6:47 post meridiem. That's where it stayed. I checked my phone. 6:47. I watched the seconds tick. 48, 49, 50. Then it jumped back. 6:47 and 0 seconds. Again and again. The clock was resetting, over and over, stuck at 6:47 post-meridiem. Oh my God. Miss Eleanor had been telling the truth. I ran downstairs, out into the street. The sky was frozen sunset. The church bells had stopped. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. Port Augustine was empty. Every door on Secession Street was closed, curtains drawn. No lights, no movement. The town looked abandoned. I ran toward Main Street. The decorations were still up. The tables set for celebration, food laid out. But nobody was there. 3,000 people had vanished. "Hello?" I shouted. "Marcus? Sarah? Anyone?" My voice echoed. No response. Then I heard something. A voice from somewhere, singing. An old song. Civil War era. The Bonnie Blue Flag. I followed the sound to the town square. The brass band was there. 7 musicians in Confederate uniforms, playing their instruments. But their faces were wrong, pale, gray. Their eyes were empty. They played mechanically, no expression, like automatons. I backed away slowly. Behind me, someone cleared their throat. I spun around. Miss Eleanor stood there. She looked exactly the same, sharp eyes, calm expression. She held a lantern even though the sky was still locked in sunset light. "You didn't stay inside," she said. "What the hell is happening?" "Heritage Night. Like I told you, we're living January 10th, 1861 all over again. This is the twilight hour, 6:47 post-meridiem, the moment Port Augustine died." "Died? What do you mean died?" She gestured to the empty town. On January 10th, 1861, this town made a choice. The people of Port Augustine voted to secede from the Union. They rang the church bells, fired the cannon, celebrated. And at 6:47 post-meridiem, exactly 1 minute after Florida officially left the Union, every single person in this town dropped dead. I stared at her. That's not in any history book. Because nobody knows. The next morning, January 11th, everyone woke up, alive again, like nothing had happened. But they remembered dying. They remembered the moment at 6:47 when their hearts stopped, when the price came due. Price for what? For choosing wrong, Miss Eleanor said softly, for picking the losing side, for celebrating something terrible. The town was cursed. Every year on January 10th, we have to live that night again, die again, and wake up the next morning to do it all over. But you're alive now. You're talking to me. Because it's not time yet. The death comes at midnight. We have until then. About 5 hours frozen at 6:47. And in those 5 hours, the town reveals what it really is. Which is what? She looked at the empty buildings, the frozen sky. A place that can't move forward, can't change, can't escape. We're stuck, Danny. All of us, trapped in January 10th, 1861, forever. Then why are you all still here? Why don't you leave? We can't. Anyone who tries to leave Port Augustine during the other 364 days of the year, they get maybe 100 miles away before something pulls them back. Homesickness, people call it. But it's more than that. It's the curse. We're bound here. The only time you can leave is during Heritage Night, during the loop. But if you leave during the loop, what happens? You die for real, permanently. Your body collapses wherever you are. Heart stops. No coming back. I felt sick. So, everyone stays. Everyone stays. We go through the motions. Prepare for Heritage Night. Pretend it's a celebration. And when midnight comes, we die. And when dawn comes, we wake up. And we do it again next year. How many times? This will be my 68th, Miss Eleanor said. I was 20 when the curse started. I'm 88 now, but I still die at 6:47 every January 10th, and I still wake up the next morning. This is insane. This is Port Augustine. Miss Eleanor told me the rules. Rule 1. The loop lasts from 6:47 post-meridiem until sunrise on January 11th. About 12 hours, but time moves strangely during the loop. Sometimes it feels like days, sometimes like minutes. Rule 2. Everyone in Port Augustine dies at midnight. Exactly at midnight, 12 o'clock in the morning. Your heart stops, you collapse, you stay dead until sunrise. Rule 3. If you try to leave town during the loop, you die permanently. No resurrection. The curse makes sure of that. Rule 4. You have to be inside Port Augustine's borders when midnight hits. If you're outside the borders, you don't come back. Rule 5. The town shows you things during the loop. Memories, visions, the truth of what happened in 1861. You can't look away. What kind of things? I asked. You'll see, Miss Eleanor said. Come on. We need to get to the church. That's where everyone gathers. She led me through the empty streets. The frozen sunset cast everything in red gold light. Shadows stretched long and wrong. The temperature was dropping. My breath misted in the air. St. Mark's Church stood at the end of Main Street, white wood, tall steeple. The doors were open, warm light spilled out. Inside, the entire town was there. 3,000 people packed into pews, everyone silent, waiting. I saw Marcus, Sarah, Tom, and Jennifer, everyone I knew. They looked at me with tired, knowing eyes. New one, someone muttered. Poor bastard. I sat in the back pew. Miss Eleanor sat beside me. At 7 o'clock, the vision started. The church windows went dark. Then they lit up again with images, projected from nowhere, showing the past. I saw Port Augustine in 1861. The same buildings, the same streets. But the people were different, younger. The town was booming, wealthy, ships in the harbor, cotton warehouses, slave auctions on the docks. Oh, God, slave auctions. The image shifted. Town meeting, January 9th, 1861. Men in suits arguing, voting. Should Port Augustine follow Florida and secede from the Union? Should they join the Confederacy? The vote was unanimous. Yes. Every single person voted yes. The image shifted again. January 10th, celebrations, people dancing in the streets, Confederate flags everywhere, the cannon firing, church bells ringing, joy, victory. They thought they were on the winning side. Then the clock struck 6:47, and everyone collapsed. Men, women, children, everyone, 3,000 people, dead in an instant. Hearts stopped, blood frozen. They died celebrating something evil. They died happy about it. The image showed the empty town the next morning, bodies in the streets, in their homes, everywhere. Port Augustine had become a mass grave overnight. But then the sun rose on January 11th, and everyone opened their eyes, alive again, confused, terrified. They remembered dying, remembered the moment their hearts stopped, but they were back, breathing, alive. Except they weren't really alive. Not anymore. They were trapped, cursed, bound to January 10th forever, forced to relive their choice, their celebration, their death every single year. The images faded. The church was silent. That's what we are, Miss Eleanor whispered. We're the town that chose wrong, and we've been paying for it ever since. At 11 o'clock, people started to cry. At 11:30, some people screamed. At 11:45, everyone was praying. At 11:59, the church bells began to ring. 59 minutes past 11 at night. 60 seconds left. I felt it coming. Something in my chest, tightening, squeezing. My heart was beating too fast, too hard. It was going to burst. It doesn't hurt for long, Miss Eleanor said beside me. Her voice was calm. She'd done this 67 times before. The church bells counted down, 12 chimes, one for each stroke of midnight. Bong, 11. Bong, 10. Bong, 9. My vision was blurring. The church spun. I couldn't breathe. Bong, 8. Bong, 7. Bong, 6. My heart was hammering, irregular, skipping beats, stopping, starting, dying. Bong, 5. Bong, 4. Bong, 3. Everyone in the church was gasping, clutching their chests, falling, dying, together. Bong, 2. Bong, 1. Bong, midnight. My heart stopped, just stopped. One moment it was beating, the next, nothing. Silence. Darkness. I died. I woke up to sunlight. January 11th, 6 o'clock in the morning. In my bed. In my apartment. Alive. My heart was beating, steady, normal, like nothing had happened. But I remembered. I remembered dying, the moment my heart stopped, the darkness, the cold, the absolute certainty that I was gone. I sat up, checked my phone. January 11th, 2025. The loop was broken. Time had moved forward. I went to my window. Port Augustine looked normal. People walking their dogs, opening shops, living, like yesterday never happened. But I knew the truth now. I tried to leave. On January 12th, I packed my car. Told Miss Eleanor I was moving out. She just nodded. She'd seen this before. I drove north, made it to Tallahassee before the feeling hit. The pull, the homesickness, the desperate need to go back. It wasn't natural. It was the curse, yanking me back like a fish on a hook. I fought it for 3 days, stayed in a hotel, tried to ignore the pull, but it got stronger, worse, until I couldn't think about anything except Port Augustine, until I physically ached to return. On January 15th, I drove back. Miss Eleanor was on her porch when I arrived. "Welcome home," she said. That's when I knew. I was trapped, just like everyone else. Life in Port Augustine between loops is strange. Nobody talks about Heritage Night. Nobody mentions the curse. We just live. Pretend everything's normal. Wait for January 10th to come around again. I kept working remotely, kept going to trivia nights, kept living my life, but everything felt hollow, temporary, like I was just waiting, counting down. Marcus told me once, over coffee, you learn to compartmentalize, to forget about it, until you can't anymore. How long have you been here? I was born in 1998. I'm 27. I've died 27 times. 27 times. He said it so casually, like it was nothing. Does it get easier? I asked. No, it gets harder. Every year you remember all the previous years, all the deaths. They stack up. Some people go crazy. They try to leave during the loop, die permanently just to escape. How many? We started with 3,047 people in 1861. We're down to 2,918 now. We lose a few every decade. People who can't take it anymore. 2,918 people. All trapped. All dying once a year. All living in this perfect, cursed town. January 10th, 2026 arrived. My second Heritage Night. I knew what was coming this time. I prepared, locked my doors, stocked food, set up in the church with everyone else. But knowing didn't make it better. If anything, it made it worse. The visions came again, the same images, the same history, the same truth. Port Augustine died because it chose wrong, because it celebrated evil, because it stood on the wrong side, and now we pay for it, forever. When the church bells rang at midnight, I died again. Same feeling, same darkness, same terror. And I woke up alive again on January 11th. That's when I realized, this is my life now. Every January 10th, I die. Every January 11th, I wake up for the rest of my existence. However long that is, I'm part of the curse now, part of Port Augustine, part of the town that never ends. Sometimes I wonder, if the curse could be broken, would we take it? Would we choose to leave, to move on, to finally escape January 10th, 1861? Or have we become so used to dying that we wouldn't know how to really live anymore? I asked Miss Eleanor once, if someone offered to break the curse tomorrow, would you want them to? She thought for a long time. Then she said, I don't know. This is all I know anymore. 69 loops, 69 deaths, 69 resurrections. It's who I am now. Without the curse, who would I be? I understood what she meant. The curse is terrible, but it's also what binds us together, what makes Port Augustine unique, what makes us a community. We're the people who die together every January 10th. We're the people who chose wrong and pay for it. Forever. Would breaking the curse mean losing that? Losing each other? Losing the only thing that makes us special? I don't know the answer. It's January 9th, 2027 now. Tomorrow is Heritage Night, my 4th time. I'm getting better at it. The dying doesn't scare me as much anymore. I know I'll wake up on the 11th. I know I'll survive. That's what Port Augustine does. It teaches you how to survive dying. Miss Eleanor is still on her porch, still bringing me key lime pie, still smiling that knowing smile. She's died 70 times now. She'll die again tomorrow, and she'll wake up the next morning and bring me pie again. Marcus is still running the coffee shop. Sarah is still at the bookstore. Tom and Jennifer still walk their golden retriever every morning. Life goes on. Death comes, life returns. That's the rhythm of Port Augustine. I've thought about trying to leave again, really trying, fighting through the pull, escaping. But where would I go? What would I do? Out there, I'm just another person, just another nobody. Here, I'm part of something terrible and beautiful and cursed and eternal. Here, I'm home. Tomorrow night at 6:47 post-meridiem, the sky will turn red. Time will freeze. The church bells will ring. And at midnight, I'll die. And on January 11th at 6 in the morning, I'll wake up, alive, ready to do it all again next year. That's life in Port Augustine, the town that never ends, the night that never ends, the curse that never ends. Some people call it hell. I call it home. There are stories in Port Augustine, whispers, about the ones who tried to break free during Heritage Night. Tommy Brennan tried in 1993. He was 22. Made it to the town border at 10 o'clock at night, 2 hours before midnight, 2 hours before the death. He thought if he could just get outside the boundary before his heart stopped, maybe he could escape. They found his body on Route 41, just past the town line, dead. Heart attack, 22 years old. Katie Morrison tried in 2007. She was a teacher, 34 years old. She took her car and drove fast, pedaled to the floor, racing against midnight. She made it almost to Apalachicola before the curse caught up. Dead at the wheel. Car crashed into a tree. Heart stopped at exactly midnight, just like everyone else. But she didn't wake up on January 11th. Marcus told me about his older brother, David. Tried to leave in 2015. Took a boat. Figured if he was on the water, maybe the curse couldn't reach him. He He made it about 10 miles offshore before midnight hit. The Coast Guard found his boat drifting the next morning. David was slumped over the wheel. Dead. Cold. Gone. We burned his effects, Marcus said quietly. My parents couldn't keep them in the house. Too painful. Every January 10th, they have to remember he's really gone. Not coming back. I'm sorry. Don't be. David made his choice. Some people can't handle living like this. The dying, the resurrecting, the endless loop. He wanted out. He got out. Just permanently. That's the choice in Port Augustine. Stay and die repeatedly, or leave and die permanently. There's no escape, no freedom, just different flavors of death. The worst part about Port Augustine is the children. Kids born here are born into the curse. They don't get a choice. They don't get to leave. They just inherit it, like a genetic disease passed down through generations. Little Emma Rodriguez is 7 years old. She's already died 7 times, 7 heritage nights. She doesn't remember the first 2, but she remembers the last 5. She knows what midnight feels like, what dying feels like. At 7 years old. Her mother, Rosa, cries every January 9th, knowing her daughter will die again tomorrow, knowing there's nothing she can do to stop it, nothing she can do to protect her baby from the curse. She asked me last year, Rosa told me once at the coffee shop. She asked me why we have to die. I didn't know what to say. How do you explain to a 7-year-old that your town is cursed because your ancestors chose to celebrate slavery? What did you tell her? I told her that sometimes people make bad choices and everyone pays for it. I told her that we're stuck here because the people before us were stuck here. I told her. Rosa's voice broke. I told her that dying is part of living in Port Augustine, that it's just what we do. Emma doesn't go to school on January 10th. No kids do. They stay home with their families, wait for 6:47 post-meridiem, wait for the loop to begin, wait for midnight. Some parents tried homeschooling their kids about other places, other towns, other lives, but it just makes it worse, makes the kids dream about escape, about freedom they'll never have. Better to accept, better to embrace, better to understand that Port Augustine is home. Forever. Dating is complicated in Port Augustine. How do you build a life with someone when you both die once a year? How do you plan a future when you're trapped in the past? I met someone. Her name is Rachel. She's 31, moved here in 2018. Been through 7 loops, 7 deaths. She understands what it's like to be a newcomer, to be trapped. We started dating in March of 2026, went to dinner, took walks on the beach, tried to pretend we were normal people in a normal town, but January 10th was always there, looming, waiting. Do you think about leaving? Rachel asked me one night. Every day, but I can't. The pull is too strong. Me too. I made it to Georgia once, almost a year after I arrived, got all the way to Atlanta before I turned around. The homesickness was unbearable. It's not homesickness. It's the curse. I know, but calling it homesickness makes it feel less like a prison. We held hands, watched the sunset over the Gulf. The water was beautiful, peaceful. You'd never know this was a cursed town just by looking at it. My parents want grandkids, Rachel said suddenly. They keep asking when I'm going to settle down, have a family. They don't understand that I can't bring a child into this. Into the curse? Yeah, how could I? How could I condemn a baby to dying every January 10th for the rest of their life? That's not fair, that's not right. She was crying. I held her. Nobody has kids in Port Augustine anymore, I said. At least not intentionally. The birth rate has dropped to almost nothing in the last 20 years. People don't want to curse their children. So we're the last generation. Maybe, unless someone figures out how to break the curse. Fat chance. We sat in silence. The sun disappeared below the horizon. Another day closer to January 10th. Another day closer to dying. There's a group in Port Augustine that calls themselves the Historians. About 20 people. They meet in the library basement every month. They're trying to figure out how to break the curse. Miss Eleanor took me to a meeting once. The group was a mix of ages, young and old. People who'd been here since 1861. People who'd arrived last year. All united by one goal: escape. The leader was a man named Walter. He was 179 years old, born in 1848. He'd lived through the original curse, died on the first Heritage Night in 1862. He'd been dying every year for 165 years. The curse has rules, Walter said to the group. Everything has rules. If we can understand the rules, maybe we can break them. We've been trying for 165 years, someone said. What makes you think we'll succeed now? Because we have new people, new perspectives. Danny here is a software consultant. He thinks in systems, in logic. Maybe he can see something we've missed. Everyone looked at me. I felt uncomfortable. I don't know anything about curses. But you know about patterns, about cause and effect, about breaking systems. That's what we need. Walter laid out everything they knew about the curse. Rule 1. The curse activates at 6:47 post-meridiem on January 10th. Exactly. Down to the second. Rule 2. Time freezes at 6:47. Loops endlessly until midnight. Rule 3. Everyone in Port Augustine dies at midnight. No exceptions. Rule 4. Leaving town during the loop results in permanent death. Rule 5. Being outside town borders at midnight results in no resurrection. Rule 6. The curse resets at sunrise on January 11th. What we don't know, Walter said, is why 6:47. Why that specific time? Florida seceded at 6:46, so what happened at 6:47? Nobody had an answer. And why does the death happen at midnight? What's significant about 12 o'clock in the morning? Is it symbolic, literal? We don't know. What about the visions, someone asked? The images in the church, why do we see them? To remind us, Miss Eleanor said quietly, to make sure we never forget what we did, what we celebrated. It's punishment, eternal punishment. But punishment from who? I asked. Who cursed Port Augustine? God? The universe? Some kind of cosmic justice? Does it matter? Walter said. Whether it's divine retribution or just bad luck, we're still stuck here. We still die every year. We still wake up trapped. The meeting ended with no answers. Just more questions. Just more frustration. As we left, Walter pulled me aside. Think about it, Danny. Use that logical brain of yours. There has to be a way out. There has to be. And if there isn't, then we die here. Forever. All of us. January 9th, 2027. Today. The town is preparing again. Decorations going up. Period costumes coming out. The brass band practicing. Everyone going through the motions. But there's a heaviness in the air. A resignation. We all know what tomorrow brings. We've all done this before. Some of us dozens of times. Some of us over 100 times. Rachel and I walked through town this morning. The decorations were beautiful. Red, white, and blue bunting, Confederate flags, Union flags, 1861-style lanterns. It looked like a museum, a memorial, a tomb. Do you think we'll ever get used to it? Rachel asked. To dying? Yeah. I don't think so. I think that's the curse. We remember every death. We feel every death. We never get numb to it. That's the punishment. Then what's the point? Why keep resurrecting us? Why not just leave us dead? Because that would be mercy, and curses aren't merciful. We passed the church, St. Mark's, where we'd all gather tomorrow night, where we'd all watch the visions, where we'd all die together. I love you, Rachel said suddenly. I looked at her. I love you too. I wanted to say it before tomorrow, in case something goes wrong. In case this time we don't come back. We'll come back. We always do. I know, but I wanted to say it anyway. We kissed. There, on Main Street, in front of the church, in the shadow of the curse. Some things are worth dying for, even if you have to die for them every year, even if you're trapped, even if there's no escape. Love is worth it. Tonight, January 9th, 2027, 11 o'clock at night, 3 hours until midnight, 3 hours until January 10th begins, 3 hours until the curse activates. I'm writing this in my apartment. Rachel is asleep next to me. Tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock, the day will begin. Normalcy, routine, preparation. Tomorrow evening at 6:47, the loop will start. Time will freeze. The sky will turn red. Port Augustine will die and resurrect one more time. My fourth death. My fourth resurrection. Miss Eleanor told me once that after 10 loops, you stop counting. After 20, you stop caring. After 50, you stop feeling. But I don't believe her. I think she still feels every death. I think we all do. That's the curse. That's the punishment. We never get numb. We never forget. We just endure. The historians are still looking for a way out. Walter is still analyzing the rules. The children are still learning to die. The lovers are still trying to build lives in the shadow of death. And Port Augustine sits here, perfect, beautiful, cursed, waiting for January 10th. Always waiting for January 10th. I wonder sometimes if the curse could be broken. If someone, somewhere, someday could figure out the trick. The loophole, the escape route. But then I wonder if we'd even want to leave. If, after 165 years of dying together, we'd know how to live apart. Port Augustine is our prison, but it's also our home, our identity, our shared trauma and shared survival. We're the town that chose wrong, and we've been paying for it ever since, and we'll keep paying for it. Forever. Some curses don't break. Some punishments don't end. Some choices echo for eternity. Port Augustine is proof of that. It's 6:40 post-meridiem, January 10th, 2027. 7 minutes until the loop begins. 7 minutes until time freezes. 7 minutes until the curse activates. Rachel and I are in the church, front pew, holding hands. The rest of the town is filing in. 3,000 people. Well, 2,918 now. We've lost a few more over the years. Miss Eleanor sits behind us. Marcus is across the aisle with Sarah. Little Emma Rodriguez is with her mother, holding a stuffed bear. Tom and Jennifer are in the back. Walter and the historians are scattered throughout. Everyone is here. Everyone is ready. The church bells haven't rung yet, but they will. In 7 minutes, when the loop begins, when Port Augustine dies one more time. I can feel my heart beating, fast, nervous. Even though I know I'll survive. Even though I know I'll wake up tomorrow morning. The fear is still there. The dread. The knowledge that in 5.5 hours, my heart will stop. 6:42. 5 minutes. The sun is setting outside. Orange light through the stained glass windows. Beautiful. Peaceful. The last moments before the curse. Rachel squeezes my hand. I love you. I love you too. 6:44. 3 minutes. The temperature is dropping. I can see my breath. The church is getting colder. The curse is coming. We all feel it. The weight in the air, the pressure in our chests, the inevitability. 6:46. 1 minute. Florida seceded from the Union at 6:46 post-meridiem on January 10, 1861, 166 years ago. The moment that sealed Port Augustine's fate, the moment that cursed us all. 6:47. The church bells ring. The sky turns red. Time freezes. The loop begins. Here we go. Death number 4. And when the sun rises tomorrow, death number 5 will be waiting next year, and the year after that, and the year after that. Forever. That's life in Port Augustine, the town that never ends, the night that never ends, the curse that never ends. Welcome home. My name is Daniel Morrison. People call me Danny. I'm 32 years old. I moved to Port Augustine, Florida in June of 2024. I've died 4 times. I'll die again tonight. And next year, and the year after that, forever. This is my testimony, my warning, my confession. I'm writing this for anyone who might stumble across Port Augustine, anyone who might think about moving here, anyone who might be tempted by the perfect houses and friendly people and cheap rent. Don't. Stay away. Keep driving. This place is beautiful and terrible and cursed. This place will trap you. This place will kill you. Every year. Forever. But if you're reading this, you're probably already here. You've already signed a lease, already moved in, already met Miss Eleanor, already heard about Heritage Night. So here's what you need to know. Before your first loop. 1. Don't panic. Panicking makes it worse. Miss Eleanor will explain everything. Listen to her. She's been through this 69 times. She knows. 2. Lock your doors at 6:30 post-meridiem. Don't go outside after 6:45. Stay inside until the church bells ring. Then go to St. Mark's Church. That's where everyone gathers. That's where you'll be safe. 3. The visions are hard. They show you the truth. They show you what Port Augustine did, what it celebrated, why it's cursed. Watch them. Remember them. They're part of the punishment, part of the price. 4. At 11:59, hold someone's hand. Marcus, Rachel, Miss Eleanor, anyone. Don't die alone. It's easier when you're with someone. 5. When your heart stops at midnight, don't fight it. Let it happen. Accept it. The more you resist, the more it hurts. Just let go. You'll wake up in your bed at 6 o'clock in the morning on January 11th, alive, safe, until next year. During the loop, the 5 hours between 6:47 post-meridiem and midnight are strange. Time moves differently. Sometimes fast, sometimes slow. Sometimes it feels like you're moving through water, through thick air. Don't try to leave town. Don't try to escape. You'll die permanently. Dozens have tried. None survived. Don't try to fight the visions. Don't close your eyes. Don't cover your ears. The curse makes you see, makes you hear, makes you understand. Resistance is pointless. Talk to people, share stories, hold each other, cry if you need to, scream if it helps. We're all in this together. We're all dying together. That's the only comfort Port Augustine offers. After the loop, when you wake up on January 11th, you'll feel different, hollow, like part of you stayed dead. That's normal. It fades after a few days, but it never fully goes away. Life continues. Work continues. Relationships continue. Port Augustine returns to normal. Beautiful coastal town, friendly people, perfect weather. Until next January 10th, long-term survival. You'll want to leave, everyone does, The pull to escape is strong, but the pull to return is stronger. The curse won't let you go. Don't waste your energy fighting it. Accept that Port Augustine is home now, forever. Find community, find friends, find love if you can. We're all prisoners here, but we can be prisoners together. That helps. That matters. Don't have children unless you're willing to curse them too. Most people don't. The birth rate here is almost zero. We're slowly dying out as a population. In another century, there might be nobody left. Just empty houses and Confederate flags and the ghost of a curse. And most importantly, remember. Remember why we're cursed. Remember what we celebrated. Remember that choices have consequences. Remember that history matters. Remember that evil, once embraced, leaves stains that never wash away. Port Augustine is that stain. We are that stain, and will be stained forever. People ask me sometimes if I wish I'd never moved here. The answer is complicated. Yes, I wish I wasn't cursed. Yes, I wish I didn't die every January 10th. Yes, I wish I could leave, visit my family in Ohio, travel the world, live a normal life. But Port Augustine taught me something important, something I wouldn't have learned anywhere else. It taught me that history has weight, that the past doesn't disappear just because we want it to, that the sins of our ancestors become our sins too if we're not careful. Port Augustine chose wrong in 1861. The people here voted to celebrate secession, to celebrate slavery, to stand on the wrong side of history, and they paid for it immediately, permanently. But they also got a second chance, sort of. They died, but they came back. They've been coming back for 166 years, dying and resurrecting, over and over. Forced to remember, forced to confront, forced to understand what they did. Most places don't get that. Most places commit atrocities and move on. Forget. Pretend it never happened. Build statues to the villains and teach sanitized versions of history and act like the past is past. Port Augustine can't forget. The curse won't let us. Every January 10th, we relive the moment our town chose evil. Every midnight, we pay the price. Every sunrise, we wake up knowing we'll do it again next year. It's horrible. It's unfair. It's eternal punishment for something most of us didn't even do, but it's also honest. It's true. It's real. Port Augustine doesn't get to pretend, doesn't get to whitewash, doesn't get to move on. Maybe that's what curses are for, to hold us accountable, to make sure we never forget, to ensure that evil has consequences that echo through time. It's 11:58 post-meridiem now, 2 minutes until midnight, 2 minutes until death number 4. The church is silent, 3,000 beating hearts, about to stop, together. Rachel's hand is warm in mine. Miss Eleanor is praying behind me. Marcus is crying. Little Emma Rodriguez is asking her mother if it will hurt. Rosa is saying, "No, baby, it won't hurt. It's just like falling asleep." Walter is watching the clock, counting down. His 166th death. He's been alive for 179 years, died 165 times. He'll die again in 90 seconds. The church bells begin to ring, 12 chimes, one for each stroke of midnight. Bong! 59 seconds. Rachel whispers, "I love you." I whisper it back. Bong! 45 seconds. My chest is tightening, heart racing, preparing to stop. Bong! 30 seconds. Emma is crying now. Rosa is holding her, singing softly, "Hush, little baby, don't you cry." Bong! 15 seconds. This is it. This is the moment. The price, the punishment, the curse. Bong! 10 seconds. We are Port Augustine. The town that chose wrong. The town that dies every year. The town that never ends. Bong. 5 seconds. We are the stain that won't wash away. The sin that won't be forgiven. The past that won't stay past. Bong. 3 seconds. We are cursed. We are trapped. We are dying. Bong. 2 seconds. But we are together. Bong. 1 second. And that has to mean something. Bong. Midnight. My heart stops. Everything goes dark. And somewhere in the darkness, I know that tomorrow morning, I'll wake up. The sun will rise. Port Augustine will live again. The curse will continue. The loop will start over forever. I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning on January 11th, 2027. Alive, breathing, my heart beating steady and strong. Rachel was next to me, also alive, also breathing. We'd both died at midnight, together, and now we were back, together. 4 down, she whispered. Infinity to go. I kissed her forehead. Happy anniversary. Outside my window, Port Augustine was waking up. Dogs barking, cars starting, people walking to work, life continuing. Like nothing had happened, like we hadn't all died 8 hours ago. My phone buzzed. Text from Marcus. Coffee shop's open. First cup's on me. Survivor's discount. I smiled. Dark humor. That's how we cope. That's how we survive. Rachel and I got dressed, went downstairs. The air smelled like salt and flowers. The Gulf sparkled in the morning light. Seagulls wheeled overhead. Port Augustine looked exactly the same as it had yesterday morning, and the morning before that, and every morning for the past 166 years. Beautiful, perfect, cursed. We walked to Marcus's coffee shop, hand in hand, alive, together, for another year, until next January 10th, until we die again, until we wake up again, until forever. That's life in Port Augustine, the town that never ends. Welcome home. The first week after your first loop is disorienting. You wake up on January 11th expecting to be different, changed, transformed by the experience of dying. But you're not. You're just you, breathing, alive, ordinary. Except you're not ordinary anymore. You've crossed a line. You've experienced death and come back. You're part of Port Augustine's secret now, part of the cursed. That first Monday, I went back to work. Software consulting, video calls with clients in New York and California. They had no idea I died 72 hours earlier. No idea I was living in a cursed coastal town. No idea my heart had stopped at midnight on Saturday and restarted at dawn on Sunday. You look tired, Danny, my manager said on our weekly video call. Everything okay? Yeah, I lied. Just a rough weekend. Rough weekend. That was one way to describe dying. Tuesday, I went to the coffee shop. Marcus made me a latte with a skull drawn in the foam. Dark humor again. He winked. Welcome to the club. The club of people who've died? The club of people who've died and lived to regret it. I laughed. It felt good to laugh. Felt normal. Wednesday, Rachel and I had dinner at her place. She cooked pasta. We drank wine. We talked about everything except Heritage Night. We were both trying to pretend we were normal people having a normal date in a normal town. But at 9 o'clock, Rachel started crying. I can still feel it, she said. The moment my heart stopped. It's like a bruise on my chest, an ache that won't go away. I held her. Me too. Does it get better? Miss Eleanor says it fades, takes a few weeks, but it never fully disappears. You just learn to live with it. I don't know if I can do this every year for the rest of my life. You can. We can. Together. She kissed me. Promise me something. Anything. Promise me we'll die together. Every year, no matter what. I don't want to die alone. I promise. And I meant it. Spring came to Port Augustine in March. Warm sun, blue skies, flowers blooming everywhere. Azaleas and camellias and magnolias. The town looked like a postcard. Tourists came through occasionally. They'd stop for lunch, take photos of the Victorian houses, buy postcards at the gift shop. Then they'd leave. Nobody stayed. Why don't tourists stay? I asked Sarah at the bookstore. They can feel it, she said. The curse, not consciously, but subconsciously. Something about Port Augustine makes people uncomfortable, makes them want to leave. Only people like us stay, people who are already trapped. So we're trapped by the curse. Tourists are repelled by it. Exactly. Port Augustine is a closed system. Nothing comes in, nothing goes out. We're self-contained, self-perpetuating. A town frozen in time, literally. I thought about that a lot. A closed system, a loop within a loop. Port Augustine was cursed on January 10th every year, but in a way, we were cursed every day. Just by being here, just by staying. April brought storms, thunder and lightning, rain that hammered the Gulf. I sat in my apartment and listened to the thunder and thought about Tommy Brennan, the 22-year-old who tried to escape in 1993, who died on Route 41. How desperate do you have to be to try leaving during Heritage Night? How much pain do you have to be in to risk permanent death? I understood it now. After one loop, I understood it. The curse doesn't just kill you once a year. It kills you every day. Slowly. By reminding you that you're trapped, that there's no future, that every January 10th you'll die again, and again, and again. Some people can't handle that. Some people choose permanent death over eternal dying. I didn't judge them. I pitied them. Summer in Port Augustine was hot, humid. The kind of heat that made your shirt stick to your back. The kind of humidity that turned your hair into a frizzy mess. But it was beautiful. The Gulf was perfect for swimming. The beaches were empty. Rachel and I spent weekends on the sand, reading, talking, pretending we were normal. One Saturday in July, we had a picnic on the beach. Sandwiches and lemonade and strawberries. The water sparkled. Seagulls cried overhead. A perfect summer day. Do you think the curse could be broken? Rachel asked suddenly. I'd been thinking about that question for months. I don't know. Walter and the historians have been trying for over 100 years. They haven't found anything. But what if they're looking in the wrong place? What if the answer isn't in the rules? What if it's somewhere else? Like where? I don't know. The church? The town square? The place where everyone died the first time? They've searched everywhere, multiple times. Then maybe the answer isn't physical. Maybe it's spiritual, or temporal, or something we don't understand yet. I looked at her. You've been thinking about this a lot. Every day. I can't stop thinking about it. There has to be a way out. There has to be. And if there isn't? She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, then I guess we keep dying. Forever. Fall came slowly to Port Augustine. The heat faded. The humidity dropped. October brought cool mornings and warm afternoons. Perfect weather. But October also brought the awareness. The countdown. 3 months until January 10th. 3 months until Heritage Night. 3 months until death. You couldn't escape it. It was always there, in the back of your mind, ticking down, getting closer. People got quieter in October, more subdued. The cheerfulness of summer faded. The reality of the curse settled back in. November was worse. 2 months, 60 days. Preparation started. The decorations came out of storage, the Confederate flags, the Union flags, the period bunting, the brass band instruments. Miss Eleanor started baking more. Stress baking, she called it. Pies and cakes and cookies. She'd bring them to my door with that sad smile she always wore in November. Getting through it, she'd say. One day at a time. December was the worst. 1 month, 30 days, countdown mode. Rachel and I celebrated Christmas quietly, just the two of us. We exchanged small gifts, tried to enjoy the holiday, but January 10th loomed, always looming. I'm scared, Rachel said on Christmas night. Me too. What if this time I don't come back? You'll come back. You always do. Everyone does. Unless you try to leave. We're not trying to leave. I know. But what if something goes wrong? What if the curse glitches? What if... I kissed her to stop the spiral. We'll be fine. We'll die together at midnight. And we'll wake up together on January 11th, just like last year. Just like every year. She nodded. But I could see the fear in her eyes. I saw the same fear in everyone's eyes that December. The whole town was afraid. Not of dying. We'd all died before. We'd all come back. We were afraid that this time, maybe, we wouldn't. January 9th, 2028. 1 year since my first Heritage Night. 2 years since I moved to Port Augustine. I died once. I was about to die again. This time, I knew what to expect. The frozen sunset, the empty streets, the visions in the church, the midnight death. But knowing didn't make it easier. If anything, it made it harder. Because now I had the memory of my first death, the feeling of my heart stopping, the darkness, the cold, and I knew I'd have to experience it again and again, forever. Rachel and I spent January 9th together. We walked through town, held hands, tried to find comfort in each other. Second time, she said. Second time, I agreed. Do you think it gets easier after 10? After 20? Miss Eleanor says no. Walter says no. Marcus says it gets harder. Then why do we stay? Because we can't leave. But we could try. During the loop, we could get in a car and drive. Fast, see how far we get before we die permanently? No. Rachel, no. Don't even think about it. I think about it every day. That scared me. The thought of losing her, of Rachel trying to escape and dying for real. Gone. No resurrection, no second chance. Promise me you won't, I said. Promise me you won't try to leave. She looked at me for a long time. Then she nodded. I promise. But you have to promise me something too. What? If the curse ever breaks, if someone figures out how to end this, promise me we'll leave immediately. No hesitation, no looking back. We'll just go. I promise. We kissed. There on Main Street, under the decorations, under the shadow of Heritage Night. That night, January 10th, 2028, I died for the second time. Same church, same visions, same midnight death, same darkness, but also different, because this time I had Rachel with me. This time I wasn't alone. We held hands as the church bells counted down. We whispered, I love you, as our hearts stopped. We died together. And we woke up together on January 11th, alive, breathing, trapped. 2 down, Rachel said. Infinity to go, I replied. We laughed. Dark humor again. The only kind that works in Port Augustine. Year 3, January 10th, 2029. My 3rd Heritage Night. By now, it was routine. Not easy. Never easy. But routine. I knew the schedule. 6:47 post meridiem. The loop starts. Gather at the church. Watch the visions. Die at midnight. Wake up on January 11th. Repeat next year. Rachel and I had gotten married that summer. Small ceremony, just us and a few friends. Miss Eleanor officiated. We promised to love each other until death do us part. Which is, technically, every January 10th, Marcus joked at the reception. Everyone laughed. Dark humor. Our wedding night, Rachel cried. What's wrong? I asked. I'm happy, she said, but also sad. Because we'll never have a normal marriage. We'll never grow old together. We'll just die together. Every year. Forever. Growing old is overrated. Don't joke. I'm not joking. I mean it. Every marriage ends eventually. Death comes for everyone. We just have a schedule. We know exactly when it's coming. That's actually better than not knowing. She looked at me. You really believe that? I'm trying to. Year 4, January 10th, 2030. My 4th Heritage Night, tonight. 4 years in Port Augustine, 4 deaths, 4 resurrections. Rachel is asleep next to me. It's 11 o'clock at night on January 9th. In 1 hour it'll be January 10th. In 20 hours I'll be dead. I'm writing this as a record, as testimony, as proof that Port Augustine exists, that the curse is real, that we're trapped here. If you're reading this, you're either already here or you're about to be. Either way, I'm sorry. This is your life now. This is your future. Dying every January 10th, waking up every January 11th. Forever. But here's what I've learned after 4 years. The curse is terrible, but it's also honest. Port Augustine can't escape its past, can't pretend it didn't happen, can't move on. We're forced to remember, forced to confront, forced to understand. And maybe that's important, maybe that's valuable, maybe the rest of the world should be more like Port Augustine, more honest about history, more willing to face consequences, more aware that choices matter, that evil doesn't just disappear, that the past is never really past. We're cursed. But we're cursed with knowledge, with memory, with truth. And in a world that forgets too easily, maybe that's worth something.